Yeah, how's it going?
Good. What you been up to, Kyle?
Not much. Just hanging out low key and working out pretty much, keeping it quiet.
Yeah, that's all you can do, right?
Yeah, trying
Same,
to take
same.
care.
Yeah, other than work, I just work out and pretty much that's all I do. So it's pretty low key life right now, but
Yeah, what can you do? It's everyone's got to do their part, I guess. Hopefully, and then it ends sooner.
yeah, absolutely. So I gotta ask you, so are you living in Chatham? Whereabouts are you living at the moment?
Me and my fiance own a house here in Blenheim, actually. So we come
Okay.
back here. So yeah, we live right in the town of Blenheim, and that's where we both grew up. So it's good to come home in the summer and see everyone.
Okay. Now I know that I think I read that you were born in London, right? You and your
Well,
brother?
yeah. For some reason on the internet it says that I was like born in London, but I always grew up in Blenheim. So I don't know why. I think that got
Okay.
like one of the early paperworks in my OHL career. I must have like filled it out wrong or something, and now it just everyone always asks me that. I'm like, I've never lived in London.
Okay. Yeah, because I think I encountered the same issue. I was doing something with Brett Bacow and he mentioned like, yeah, no, I'm not from like Tilbury. I think that's what it was. He's like, no, I'm not from Tilbury. I just had to put that in because to give him something, right? I think because he was on a certain team and he had to put that he was from Tilbury or whatever. So
Yeah, like
yeah,
I played for Elgin Middlesex growing up, but I always
yeah,
lived in Blenheim. So I don't. Maybe it got mixed up on a paperwork or something. But yeah, I've gotten that quite a few times
yeah. I don't know, man. It's That's why you can't trust everything you see online.
actually.
But yeah, so congrats on re-signing with the White Hawks.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. We went there last year for a bit, and it went well. So it was a good option to go back for sure.
Yeah, so I guess I was going to ask you about that. So, what made you decide to re-sign with the White Hawks? Did you have any other offers from any other teams?
Well, actually, like we signed before we even left Denmark, so it's been we kind of had to keep it low key for a while, just the way they do things in Europe with
Okay.
sponsorship stuff. Um, but we went there from England in January, and it went well. We won the Final Four championship, and had a good relationship with the coaches there, and the GM and stuff like that. So it was a good situation, and it was a place where I felt like I had a good opportunity to continue to develop. And right now, that's just year by year trying to get better, and it felt like it was a good spot to go back and take that next step, and hopefully the year after take the next step too.
Okay, right on, man. I just kind of want to backtrack here with your career here. So you played in the OHL for 4 or 5 years. You played the college hockey for 4 or 5 years. You had a little stint with the AHL. And then you played with a little bit with England. Now you're with Denmark. So how's this whole process been?
It's been long. There's been a lot of ups and downs, but I try to don't just control what I can control, and that's my work ethic and being
Hmm.
a good teammate. And I think that's always a big thing is just being a good teammate and being a good guy in the locker room, and doing my part. And sometimes it's not all about who scores the goals and stuff like that. So I think that's been a big part of my career is and that's given me more opportunities here. And now I'm getting the opportunities to be the guy who plays on the power play and gets to score those goals and stuff, which is nice.
Where do you typically like to play? Because I looked up you played defense and in a forward or
Yeah, so it's just I was drafted to the OHL as a defenseman actually,
okay.
and then I played 2.5 years, 3 years as a defenseman, and then we had some injuries one year, and I played forward in the playoffs, and I guess my coach liked it, and a couple scouts liked it, so I ended up going to a couple NHL camps as a forward. So I stuck with that. And then at school, I played forward. And then in England, when I got there, I think the first month and a half, 2 months, I played forward. And then same thing, we had injuries and they couldn't just bring someone in. So I was like, yeah, I used to play D. So I started playing D. And then the coach there all of a sudden, he's like, I think you should be a D in like Europe. He's like, you got more potential. And so I switched back to D by Christmas. And then Denmark watched a few games and they liked what they saw as a defenseman. So I'm in Denmark as a defenseman. And I think that's how I'll stay for the rest of my career as a defenseman.
Nice, man. That's good to hear. Yeah, so I guess when we're talking about when you were playing OHL, what made you decide to go from OHL to back to college?
It was just, the opportunity to have the school package was just something that, I couldn't really turn down. I had the 5-year school package. I had, Windsor was just coming off winning the Ontario championship. So it's close to home. I've been away for a while. It was, everything kind of just, there's a lot of reasons to, come back home and play and get my degree. And, especially with the school package, it was just a really good option. I went to the AHL at the end of the OHL, and it was a good time. But I felt that for my career, I needed to maybe take a step back to, in the end, have a better career. So just to be able to play more, have those opportunities to play more, and to get my degree at the same time was just something I couldn't turn down.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the reason why I was asking is just because you think about going to college, you would think you would want to go to college before you go in the OHL, but I guess it doesn't really always work that way. I guess they try to get you as young as they can, I guess.
Yeah.
So when you were during college, what did you go for, or what did you go study?
I was in business administration with a minor in computer technology.
Okay. Is that something that you think you might pursue after you're done playing hockey?
Yeah, we have this conversation all the time, because it's becoming more and more realistic every year. So what am I going to do after hockey? And right now, I've talked to a few business people, and the opportunity to do insurance maybe is there. The opportunity to become an accountant is there. And then the opportunity to just maybe own my own business one day is something that I've thought of too. So right now, I don't really have any set where I want to go after hockey, but I'm just trying to keep all doors open and spend my time in the summer talking to people who are in these fields that interest me, and just see how it, shadow them and see what they do and see if I like it.
Okay. How many years did you sign with the Whitehawks?
So it's just 1 year. It's just year to year over there pretty much. Unless you're, a Danish guy, then you can get those longer term contracts. But for North Americans in Europe, it's best probably to go year to year.
Now, why is that? What's with the Danish guys? Why can they sign longer?
I think it's just because they know they're probably going to stay in that league.
Oh, okay.
Where, North Americans, they can switch leagues a lot faster over there and, go up and down, all over the place. So it's just easier, and it depends country to country, it's just some opportunities and financial stuff and stuff like that. It's just best to go year by year.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So, is European hockey much different than North American in terms of the play?
I would say in England, it wasn't that different, but in England, we were also, some of the arenas were our home arena was North American size. And then you got 12 to 14 imports there, and most of them are Canadian or American. So the hockey there is pretty, similar to the coast, I would say, the East Coast Hockey League. I would say they were very similar. And then when I went to Denmark, I noticed that it was, it's in the Scandinavian. It was a lot more skill, speed, big ice, more wide open. It was very momentum hockey. I found one team could have the puck for 2, 3, 4 minutes, and then all of a sudden it's in your end, and it's where in North America, that would cause some panic. But over there, it's more just okay, keep them, because you got such a big ice, you just can't run around. So it is different, I noticed, in Denmark to North America.
Yeah, because I noticed that a lot of at least Russian guys that get into NHL or different leagues, they talk about how different it is to play in the North American League because of just how they're used to playing on bigger rinks. So when they come into smaller rinks, their game is just thrown off. Because they're used to having to be so quick and fast, and which I guess that could be advantage, but at the same time, if you're not used to that, I guess it would throw off your game. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that was kind of what they discussed with me about going back to defense, just being able to be a good skater on defense, and with the experience of being offensive on forward, they were it may be something in Europe that you could really start to snowball with, and get some good opportunities just because of that. So it's just, it is just a completely different style of play, and especially in Scandinavia and Russia, like you said.
Oh my God, yeah, I can only imagine. I couldn't do it. But yeah, so I guess this has been bugging me for a long time. So what is it like? Why is it that European players have so many like logos and sponsors all over your equipment? Like it's you got stuff on the shin pads. It's like everywhere.
Well, from what I understand is it's just because the teams are all owned by sponsors. So,
Really?
yeah, so like it's not like for example, like a team around in North America is owned by the city generally. So
Right.
like tax dollars, et cetera, et cetera. Over there, there's like either one really wealthy guy who owns a team, or there's, 5, 6, 7 big companies in that city who own the team. So for them to own the team, the best way for them to advertise is to put their logos, I guess, all over our
Okay.
gear.
Yeah, that it seems a bit distracting though.
Yeah, like our jerseys got tons of logos in our pants and stuff, but I mean, I don't know. Once you start playing, you don't notice it, but it does. I've had that question before. They're just like, "Why do you have so many logos all over your gear?"
Yeah. But yeah, so it kind of reminds me of kind of like soccer in a way, like with how like in soccer, not necessarily like say if you play for like I'm gonna use an England team, like if you use Manchester United or another team, normally like they won't always have like the actual Manchester United, but it might have like a different like it will have like a company logo on there,
Yep.
I guess.
Yeah, we actually when we lived in Manchester, we went to a couple United games, and like it was crazy. I'm not a big soccer guy, but after going to games live in that country, I was like, all right, I could get on board with soccer. But we did the tour of Old Trafford, and they explained that like can't remember the exact dollar value, but like Chevrolet was on the front of Manchester United instead of their
Yeah.
logo, and I want to say it was something crazy. Like they spent like $30 million to have that logo on there.
Oh
Like
my God.
the money in soccer in England is just it's insane.
Yeah, it's I guess with sponsorship that's what kind of helps pay for things and whereas if you got like North American hockey, NHL, I mean you look at I'm going to say Toronto right now because everyone knows how much money they invest in hockey, but you look at them and they're just the city of Toronto, like the money that they invest in the team. I mean, everybody knows what their cap space issue and how much those guys are getting paid, but it's insane. Like it's and that's probably why the sponsors needs to be there essentially.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just because the countries are a lot smaller over in Europe, so they don't have the big cities like Toronto, etc. Unless you're one country, not or one city in a country, not multiple. So for us, like where we play in Frederikshavn, I would say it's the size of it's smaller than Chatham. You know,
Really?
yeah. So to host a professional team, you have to have kind of every business in the city on board, which
Wow.
is it's good in a way because when we're out in the city, every person kind of knows you, and they support you. You go to their restaurant, they give you, it's discounts and stuff like that. So they support you in other ways over there. Whereas, I mean, in North America, it's not really like that. Like you do have sponsors, but they're not everybody like they sponsor the team, but they're not really invested. Where in Europe, like in our city, the whole city has to be invested for that team to stay alive, kind of thing.
Right.
Which is it makes it for a good atmosphere too, because then everyone's supportive and everyone's like when we won that championship, the whole city was just like it was insane. The whole city was just like partying, and it was pretty
That's
cool.
awesome. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Yeah, like just to have the whole city behind you, that's you don't besides like playoffs or championships, like things like that in bigger leagues, you don't really see cities or towns behind teams like that. So that's pretty
Yeah.
sweet to have that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you only see Toronto really get on board when something really bad happens or really good.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, you living in Denmark, has it been different or has it been difficult with the language barrier?
It is like luckily, like Dane Fox was there with us. So when we got there, he kind of gave us the runner, like showed us around the city, showed us how things worked. But Google Translate definitely became one of our most used apps on our phone. Just in the grocery store, you don't know what like you think that's what you're buying, but it's all in different packaging, and so you just got to Google everything and make sure. I mean, with the teammates, I would say most of our Danish guys can speak pretty good English. So there's not much of a language barrier there, but I know it was definitely hard for the girls, going to the grocery store and stuff and shopping and stuff like that, because not everyone does speak English there. And sometimes they just, they see you as a tourist, and sometimes they may not even want to, engage in a conversation with you. They'll just let you be. So a little bit of that is different, but I mean, other than that, it's not too bad.
Okay. So when you talk about girls, are you talking about like everyone's like girlfriends, fiancés, or like what?
Yeah, like my fiance, Dane's girlfriends, and then there's other, guys that we know who've been over there and they kind of experience the same thing. Where it's harder for them because we have our teammates, right? They only have a few, maybe 2, 3 girls that speak the same language as them.
Right, right. Yeah, that would be definitely difficult. That's one thing that because I remember when I was younger, I was always offered to like go on exchange somewhere, and I was like, oh no, I don't know. Like, it's not that I'm not social, but just the aspect of having to learn language and
Yeah,
learn different, like learning to live in a different, uh, like in a different place and how everything's run. I think that I'd have a difficult time with that, but I
yeah.
mean, it's not for everyone, right?
It's yeah. That's the thing. You kind of just got to go with it. And luckily, like yeah, like on an exchange would definitely be different because every day, like we're with hockey, we're at the arena or have a game, kind of almost every day. So
Right.
half of our day, if we're at the arena for 4 or 5 hours a day, is tied up already. So it's not that bad. But if you were definitely looking for something to do all day, every day, it would be a lot harder.
Yeah, for sure. So, I guess in that league, so you said that you play almost every day. So with the games, how many games would you play per year?
I think in Denmark, I think it's 52 games.
Okay.
So I think there's one, you'll play one on the weekend and one like a Thursday or a Wednesday. So they kind of spread it out over there, which is nice too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's not
Uh,
too many back to backs or like 3 games in a weekend, which is just easier on your body at the end of the day. Like in the East Coast League, sometimes you can play 3 games in 3 different cities on a weekend, Friday, Saturday,
oh,
Sunday.
geez.
So when I was in Fort Wayne, we had one of those, and it starts to take a toll on your body, and it wears you down, and injuries and stuff like that. So it's a little bit better scheduling in Europe.
Well, and I mean, like, I guess, like, at least I noticed more in the junior hockey, they typically they will they like to purposely do that. I think just to get the guys prepared for that, because I mean, not every league are you going to be accommodated that way.
No, exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes you have to learn to push through that. And I think if you that's why it's no different than school. In high school they prepare you for that college or that university life. So same kind of
Yeah.
aspect, right? Like they don't want to do that, but that's what they typically try to do just to get the guys ready for that kind of game, I guess.
Yeah. I guess it just prepares when you're younger. You go through it, and you learn how to manage your body and manage your recovery and your eating and stuff like that, and it prepares you for the grind, I guess, of professional hockey in North America.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah. So with what's your favorite and not so favorite moments of your career, hockey career?
Uh, well, my one of my favorite moments would definitely be this year when we won that championship. Like, me
Great
and
picture,
Fox.
by the way. Sorry.
What's that?
Great picture, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, me and Dane played together when we were younger, actually, and we both won 2 Alliance championships when we were in Pee Wee together with Elgin Middlesex. So neither of us have actually won a championship since then. So we've been close. So when I got there, me and him we were out for dinner, and we were just talking, and he's like, it'd be cool to win another championship together, and and we were fortunate enough to do that, and it was a pretty cool moment to share with him, and I think it was 10 or 12 years later to be able to win another championship together. It was a pretty cool moment, and yeah, it was a lot of fun, and yeah, it was definitely one of my favorite moments for sure.
Absolutely, man. Um, so with the COVID kind of affecting sports and whatnot, do you see that? Do you think you're going to be playing in the fall, or how do you see it playing out?
I don't know. Like for us, when we were there, we didn't even finish our season. Um,
Yeah.
So we didn't even get to start. Like, we played 2 games with no fans, and then they were going to put us on pause and make us wait kind of there for 2 weeks to see what kind of happened. And then it started to get more and more out of control in Europe, with like Germany and Austria and stuff like that. So then leagues started to just cancel. So I think every other league kind of just followed suit because they didn't want to be the league to try to keep playing. And then something really bad happened. And for people like us, right, we started to see Canada was going to start shutting their borders, and getting home, we were concerned about how we were going to get home. So I think the league just did the right thing and canceled and let us all try to get home as quickly and safely as possible. But for next year, I don't like. I talked to a few guys on my team, frequently, my coach, and right now I think they're just trying to wait it out. We were originally supposed to fly here early August, but that's been canceled, and now they're talking middle of September, maybe October 1st and start middle of October. But now some countries are saying they may not start till December. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know if, I don't think one country can probably start up before another country. I think, so everyone's kind of got to get going at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm just kind of taking it day by day and, kind of enjoying my time here and being ready when I do have to go.
Yeah, and that's really all you can do. Yeah, like a lot of guys I've talked to who play hockey or who've played hockey or currently playing hockey, they said, yeah, like it's all up in the air right now, and they're just trying to take every day by day and just hope that things go a lot better. Like for me, like I guess one thing I don't really understand. So they've kind of opened up a lot of things like hairdressers, a lot more things, and there's a lot more opportunities. And I think I just heard that they're opening up the movie theaters and stuff like the Cineplex theaters. And one thing I don't really understand is like, okay, you're opening up everything that I'm not saying that getting your haircut's not essential, but I mean, movie theaters aren't really essential. And the fact that they still haven't opened up the gyms is kind of just is a little concerning because they've had things open up for the last the last I think probably a month, almost a month. It sounds about right. And the thing that worries me is that they're not opening up certain gyms in Chatham until I think another 2 weeks. I mean, what's to say that things get really bad in the next 2 weeks with everything opening up, and then we get the gym open for like a week or something, and then they have to close down again. That's kind of what is kind of upsetting me. Is like you're waiting so long to open up the gym, but yet you're opening up everything else. So, with hockey coming like with the upcoming season of hockey starting in like the fall, you got to wonder like, well, like I get it, like they're canceling things in August, as you said, or yeah, in August, like you said, and everything. But it's like, why, like, if they're already opening up everything, I guess they don't want to jump the gun, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think, a lot of people staying home like this and not working and stuff. I think, mental health could become a big thing, and, fitness and mental health. Like, I think, in my opinion, at least, like I'm not an expert, but I think, when you work out and, you take care of your body and fitness, it can only help your mental health. So yeah, like I'm kind of with you on that. Like I could see, if whatever, even if you have to limit how many people in the gym and sanitize and stuff, I think it's good to have them open. And for us, like we train in Chatham with Colin Rosler at Athletes Fuel, and for us, we can't go with him. So we've been doing the virtual workouts, and he sends us what to do. And I've just been working out. My brother luckily has a 2-car garage, and we put down some carpet, and then Rosler gave us some stuff, and I had some stuff, and we've kind of made a home gym, and I'm doing what we can. And I'm running on the side of the roads and like, instead of on the track, and, I'm trying to make do, but it would be nice if we could just go back to the gym and, only limit 5 or 6 guys to be able to work out. You're allowed to get in groups of 10 already. So and then you see people golfing. There's just some things are okay, and some it's just I don't know.
There's a lot of mixed feelings about the whole thing. It's a little bit ridiculous, to be honest with you, but I get it. I mean, you just can't do anything until the government says so.
Yeah, it's all we can. I mean, it does suck, but I mean, in my lifetime, I would have never thought something like this would happen.
Oh my God, I know, right? Like I get excited. We're both born around the same year, so because you're born '93, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I was born in '94. So, like, I think in our lifetime, I never really saw this happening. Like, obviously, yeah, there'd be diseases, but besides the swine flu, that even that they didn't close really anything down. Nothing's really ever happened. So when this did, I mean, I think it took everybody by surprise, and hopefully it's kind of a wake up call, and
Yeah.
um, we
I
can be
mean,
able to.
I could see. Well, yeah, like you said, it's going to be a wake up call. Like, I think definitely at the start, everyone kind of went full panic, and and then we're slowly coming back to normal now. But I think maybe we're never going to see, at the grocery store, those barriers come down, or at the bank, like the plexiglass and stuff like that. I think, maybe it was a good wake up call to keep, some sanitization better and hygiene and things like that. I don't know. Maybe it is the right thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's a terrible idea. I don't think it's. I think it's good. I mean, even if we're not talking about COVID, but just germs in general, like I don't
Yeah.
want someone else's germs. So,
Yeah, I think
um,
it's gonna create a lot more of that better, yeah, cleaner. Everyone like businesses and home, like everything. It might be better to keep, those kind of regulations in now once it's
abs-
already been.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so I kind of took a poll on my podcast Instagram, and I just kind of made a poll about like, um, what do you think about the NHL truly having a comeback this summer? So I had 81% of the people thinking probably not going to happen, and then I had the 19% saying definitely will. So what are your thoughts?
I I want playoffs to happen, obviously. I don't know. Like that's the thing. You're seeing guys always testing positive in the NHL, and you get them all in the same city and on the same ice. Like if one guy's got it, he gives it to the next guy. Before you know it, a whole team has it, and then like what happens if a team like Pittsburgh all of a sudden half their team has it and they can't play? Then who plays, or are they just automatically out of the playoffs? Like those are the things that I haven't heard an answer to.
Well, I just don't think it's realistic. I know that there's a lot of good attempts to help facilitate everything and how we can possibly protect players, but at the end of the day, you're playing on the ice with people. Yeah, okay, you're playing hockey, so you're not necessarily are you for the most part getting close to people. But I mean, all it takes is you're in the boards with someone, you're checking someone, you're already close to someone's face. I know they've talked about having like certain like having like the full face
Yeah,
mask, and but even at that, I don't think that's really gonna. I don't think it's very realistic. I mean, it sounded like a very good idea. Like everyone's like getting excited. I know I just watched a video today. It was with Halak from Boston, and he was just he looked really good in practices. But like I get it, like teams are practicing, but I just think I don't think it's very realistic. Like I've seen guys getting tested positive, like a couple guys from Coyotes, and I think a guy from I think it was Matthews from Toronto. He tested positive.
yeah,
So it's just like guys are testing positive. It's like what's going to get to the point where everyone's going to just start getting sick, and then it's not even so much about guys getting sick, but it's about guys getting sick, and then people can't play, like teams can't play, and it's like, well, what are you what do you do? So,
yeah.
uh,
That's the thing. Like yeah, I know their guys are going back skating, and I was reading this morning the NHL and the NHLPA have had meetings, and they're down to the hub cities. It sounds like is going to be Edmonton and Toronto. So it's like Canada's doing a pretty good job of keeping
yeah,
this under control, and then all of a sudden you're going to bring every NHL team that's in the playoffs to Canada, and what happens if they go out to a restaurant, someone gets it, spreads through the NHL, but also it could spread through the cities of Toronto and Edmonton then too, right? Like it just like you said, it's a good idea, I think, to get sports back and everything like that, but it's just like at what cost and at what risk, I guess.
yeah, and that's the thing. That's like we close the borders for a reason. So pretty much what they're doing is they're taking Americans and bringing them across the border. It's essentially
Yeah,
what they're doing.
yeah,
Um, so whether they take all the guys from like all the American teams, well, and Canadian teams, right, and they keep all the guys in Toronto in a certain location. That's all you can do. Like, yeah, it's gonna suck, but that's what we'll do for a month and a half until the playoffs are done. So you got like all the American teams. So say you get the two hub cities. So say depending on who's playing who, you get these teams staying in one spot all together, and then you got all these teams in Edmonton staying together, and then they just determine who's going to play who. And I think that would probably be your best bet if they're going to do that. Because if they're just leapfrogging, they're just going back and forth. I just think that's not a good idea because obviously things in the States aren't too hot. So, especially teams like Washington and yeah, I mean, like just a lot of those American teams, they're low, they're more at risk. So
Yeah.
it's I just don't think it's going to happen, but I'm trying to stay optimistic. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, there's probably health professionals and, they're going to do what's best, I guess. And I guess at the end of the day, we'll see. Like, for sure, I'd love to watch some playoff hockey on TV, but I mean, I don't know. How long can you wait before it gets into the next season too, and things like that, right? So
absolutely, because I mean, right now all we have is like NASCAR and I think UFC, which I'm okay with because I'm a huge UFC fan. So
yeah,
I'm okay with
yeah,
watching people hurt each other. So, but yeah, I have to actually get ready for work soon. So, yeah, are you a fan of any other sports or do you have any other
uh,
interests?
well, during this COVID, actually, I've been taking golf a lot more. I've been going golfing. I mean, it's one of the only things you can really do. So,
Right.
I've been going out a lot more and doing that as much as I can and working out. I used to race cars, but I'm not really into the NASCAR thing. So I watch a little bit of NASCAR, but I'm not huge on it. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, not too many other sports. I mean, I like watching any sport, I guess, but yeah, playing them right now is just hockey and golf.
Okay. What's the whole idea about hockey players playing golf? Like, has that always just kind of been a thing, or?
I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think they just kind of hand in hand because one you play in the winter and one's in the summer. Maybe I don't really know, but yeah,
I
it's a
guess
big.
it's kind of the same motion. You got a stick and you're
Yeah,
hitting the ball or puck. So
guess it's like the same motion and yeah, different times a year and yeah, I don't know.
right,
It's I guess it's just something to do in the summers and get away and relax a bit.
yeah, for sure. I guess that would make sense. Um, yeah. So I just got two more for you. So how do you manage your fam and social life when you were playing in Denmark?
Well, my brother came over to England and visited, and my parents came over as well. Um, we just try to FaceTime. With the time change, it is tough. I mean, but I get up in the morning, I'll go to the arena. Heather goes to the gym, and then she'll come home, and then I'll come home from the arena around 12:31, and we'll have lunch, and then by that time, most people from home are up. So it's just tough at night when someone is working till 5, and for us to FaceTime, they would have to get home from work right away and FaceTime us because then it's going to be 11 at night there. So it's those things are hard, but we try to do our best and text, and if the response is delayed, as best you can. And then for my friends and stuff, we just try to it's the same thing, just try to keep a conversation going. Sometimes it takes a few days to even have a conversation because of the time change, but yeah, you just try to Snapchat, Instagram, stuff like that. It definitely helps because it keeps people involved, keeps show them what you're doing, they can show you. And yeah, all my friends and like my family and my fiance's family, everyone's been great and supportive of it, and we do our best to stay in touch as much as we can.
Right. So like you said that you bought a house in Blenheim together in Blenheim. So obviously when you're playing in Denmark, how does that work? Do you just have a living spot that or do you have a place that they have you live, or how does that
Yeah,
work out?
so in Denmark, when you get there, basically we already moved into our house for next year and put our stuff there, and so we didn't have to travel home with everything that we brought. We just brought home the stuff we needed. And yeah, when you get there, they'll either give you a house or a condo or apartment, depending, and then you get a car too. So it's a good situation that way. They take care of you, everything off the ice, and have you all set up when you get there, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. And then with our house in Blenheim, we just put one of our buddies or whatever just rent it out from us in the winter.
Oh, that's really nice. Then
Yeah.
you got someone to watch the house, and got someone to kind of help pay for things. So that's kind of
and a lot of our friends around our age, they're looking to move out from home and kind of get out on their own and do stuff. So it works out well. And yeah, exactly. And it makes sure someone's here taking care of everything. And if something was to happen, someone's on top of it.
Oh, there you go. And that's kind of gives you that a little bit of insurance, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So just one more for you. So any favorite NHL teams or players?
No. I grew up a big Steve Yzerman fan.
Yeah.
I really liked him growing up. I thought he was awesome. But currently, I don't really have any. I have certain players that I like to watch, just the way they play. Try to do things that they do, stuff like that. But I wouldn't say I have a favorite team or player right now. I mean, I've supported Detroit because of Steve Yzerman, and back when I was a kid, they were winning Stanley Cups, and they were always a team. But when I was in Windsor, we'd go to games, and then last year they weren't too hot, so I wouldn't say I'm a fan of them right now.
Well, I mean, like, I gotta say, I kind of feel bad for Detroit because, so obviously it's no secret that they were kind of the bottom team the last few years. But I guess with how the draft picks are going right now, so normally it's like the bottom teams every year, they usually get the higher percentage of the draft picks.
Yeah.
So obviously the number one guy, I think it's Lafayette. So with him, I think Detroit was hoping that they were going to get that number one pick, but because how they're doing the new playoff system, it screwed everything up. And now it's like none of those teams are going to get that number one pick. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Who also has a chance to play in the play? Like, you have a chance to win the cup, and you have a chance to win the first overall pick.
That does not make sense to me. Like, that's not fair whatsoever.
And I think it especially for Detroit this year, I would say those top three picks are three guys who are going to be pretty good NHLers. But I think after the top three, the fall off is pretty big. So it sucks for Detroit. They got four, so they don't even have a chance at first. They were the worst team, and they're probably going to get the top top four picks. They're getting a prospect that's definitely less than the top three.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, you still have that guy could still produce, and you don't know what the number one pick. You can't guarantee that this guy is going to produce for you either. So
yeah,
it's like, yeah, it's great, but I mean, just because you get a number one pick doesn't mean anything. I mean, we've seen like guys that are like in the first round and they just come in the NHL, and it's like something's not coming together for them, or it's unfortunate, but
exactly. Detroit could end up, like I think the last time Detroit picked fourth overall, they picked Steve Yzerman. So it could be, that's the thing at the draft. You're so young and you're 18 years old when you get drafted, and a lot of things can change after that. Like there's guys my age who were drafted first round who have retired already, or who never even played in the American League, or they're playing over in Europe against me last year, stuff like that. Like, so you see a lot of things that, it all works out in the end, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just it comes together. Like how well can a team play together? And I mean, you look at it. Just good example of Vegas Knights. I mean, they didn't have the biggest. They didn't have like a Connor McDavid. They didn't have a guy like that on the team, but they almost won the championship, and it's because they had the right guys together and they played well together. So.
Yeah, exactly. And that whole, like you said, that whole team chemistry was good, and there was no one better than anyone else. They all kind of just bonded and worked together. And I think you're going to see that more and more with the money. Toronto's got a lot of superstars, but it's not necessarily working. So I think you're going to see some teams try to copy that Vegas mold of, create three solid lines instead of having a superstar line. And then, sometimes your third line's just not as good then.
Absolutely. And that's what it is. So hopefully, because I'm a Toronto fan, so I hope that Toronto gets it together. Because
yeah.
Yeah, but man. So Kyle, I just want to thank you for coming on my podcast, for taking the time to talk about your hockey career. And I hope that we see you play in the fall. Hopefully the COVID doesn't do anything to stop that. So the best of luck to you.
Perfect. Thanks for having me on. I'll be following along. It's awesome to have stuff like this going on in Chatham-Kent for sure.
Absolutely, man. Well, you take care and stay safe out there.
All right, you too. Thank you.